Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be kind of a serious one. It's going to be my first kind of story time and kind of like advice video for you guys. Since I do have this platform, I want to talk about this subject and just give you guys more help on this subject and ways to get out of this situation. So not a lot of people know too much about me. I've gone through so much crap throughout my whole life. I've gone through abuse, molestation, and just a bunch of other things. Moving from home to home, basically throughout my whole entire life, ever since I was around maybe 3 or 4 years old. So my life has been really rocky, and ever since I met my new boyfriend that I've been dating for over 3 years, my life has kind of gotten a little bit better, but shit from my past is still kind of lingering around, and it won't be over with for a couple more weeks, which I don't really want to talk about right now because it deals with court and stuff, and I can't talk about that because a lot of details in it can ruin the trial and stuff. So I'm not going to talk about the molestation and stuff throughout my whole life, but I'm going to talk about abuse in this video. This is mostly going to be abuse in relationship, even though I've been abused by a lot of friends, which is why I don't really have any friends right now. And everything right now is a really hard topic to talk about right now, but I just want to get it out to you guys since I do have this platform to talk to everyone about this. And I probably do have some younger followers or subscribers. I just want to talk to you guys about everything and just tell you about my situation, and just if you get into that situation, what you kind of can do to get out of it. So I am young, I am 18, but all my relationships I basically have been cheated on. But the worst relationship I was in was the one that I was basically abused in, which started off when I was in 8th grade, which is a really young age to ever be abused in an actual relationship. It's really hard to talk about. Oh my god. I get really emotional with these kind of things that have been going on in my life, so starting kind of in the middle of 8th grade, I started liking this boy, and I'm not going to say his name, let's just call him, let's see, Derek. So mostly everybody in my family knows about this, and a lot of people didn't believe me at the time when everything kind of came down. But so I met Derek, we dated for a couple of days, and then he dumped me, right? And then a couple weeks later he started talking to me again for some reason, and then he wanted to date again. So we dated for about a year and a month the first time, and I was really stupid because when you're in an abusive relationship, you feel like you're in love, but you don't really know the difference at the time. Like, you can't see through it, you're just going through it usually, and that's what happened for me. So I ended up going back for two more months, and then I stopped altogether because it was just getting to be too much for me. So once we were back together, things were going okay, and nothing was really kind of, you know, a sign at that point of him being an abusive person or just crazy, because I never really knew him. We just started dating. We didn't really talk, or we weren't really friends in the beginning of us dating until a months into the relationship. Let's say about 1 or 2, he started basically pressuring me into having sex. And at the time I was a virgin. I never had sex at all, like ever. And he was pressuring me into having sex. He kept coming over because on Wednesdays at my school we would get out early, like around 1, and my sister at the time was in high school because she is a grade older than me, or was a grade higher in school. So she was a freshman, and she still got out at 3 o'clock, so we had time. And he kept coming over to my house afterwards on Wednesdays, and we'd hang out, and he'd kind of pressure me into doing it. And basically we would start, but I just kept stopping because I couldn't do it. I just could not do it. It was so uncomfortable. I didn't want to do it to begin with, but he was just pressuring me and pressuring me to do it. So eventually, a couple weeks later, we ended up having sex for the first time, which was the most disgusting thing ever. Like, it was the worst time of my life. I would never have wanted to have sex with him or do anything like that with him. So just fast forward, I just kept dating because eventually feelings started, going on. We started like talking more, even though like looking back now, like, oh my god, I was the stupidest person ever. Like, thinking about it now, I'm so disgusted. I do not like him. I like hate him, which is a really, really strong word, but going through what I've gone through, you learn to hate a lot and you blame yourself and other people a lot. So it was kind of okay. The next couple months, I started liking him more, thinking that I loved him, when in reality you're too young, and some people can love each other at that age, but I was way too young to even think about loving. But I did think I did love him, which I didn't, looking back now. So things were kind of going okay, and then just things would happen that were like kind of strange, and my mom and my family would be like, no, we don't like him, he's strange and stuff. But my family never really likes anyone until now, my new boyfriend, which he's perfect, honestly. He's like freaking amazing. But then there'd be like little signs, like I would get in trouble because a lot of things in my life, I would act out and do really, really like crazy things and have a really bad attitude with my mom. So I would get in a lot of trouble whenever I went over to my mom's, and I'd get my phone taken away basically. And then he would constantly text my phone saying, where am I, why I can't talk. So my mom would be like, oh, she's in trouble, she's not gonna have her phone for this many days or anything, even though she shouldn't have even said that, because why would she need to? If I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble, which I understand. Then later on in our relationship, like, he got my mom's phone number, I can't remember why, and my stepdad's, and eventually when I get my phone taken away, he would blow up their phones and say like he needed to talk to me, when in reality we had nothing really to talk about. There was nothing serious to talk about. So it was just, that was really weird. And then going more and more and more into a relationship, I met his parents and his family, and his family is freaking crazy, like crazy. And keep in mind, this whole family it's just really crazy, and throughout the whole relationship things get crazier with this family. First thing I noticed is like they're kind of rich. They're basically rich. The dad makes like $100 an hour because of like truck driving and everything he does. So I would get spoiled a lot on my birthday and stuff. But his family acted really crazy. They had guns. Guns are okay, people have guns now, but the way they talked about guns and like, it was just kind of weird. And so the parents had 3 sons, and each son had a K name. So in their garage they had a sign that said KKK, one thing, horrible, and they didn't really like African people. So that was just like one thing that was like terrible, because my family, my mom's boyfriend is black or African American. His skin is white, but his dad was fully African. So like, I have little siblings that are white skinned, but they are black. So they are like 50% African American. So that like was one thing, like that's just like a little red flag, even though like they didn't really talk about racism and all that. They were just kind of weird. And then eventually I learned, kind of in the end of the relationship, I learned that my ex-boyfriend's great-grandpa or grandpa, whatever he was in the KKK. So that just kind of freaked me out even more. And okay, so I'm getting kind of off topic, but yeah, those little red signs were kind of like freaking me out. And then they say like they were a part of Hell's Angels or all those like biking people, and say what they would do to people, and like just this crazy situation. Then one of the brothers actually had a girlfriend, and right when me and this kid started dating, they broke up. And for some reason the girlfriend's family, let's name her Angelica. So Angelica's family started having drama with my ex-boyfriend Derek's family, and some reason one night they got in a freaking fight. Grown women, grown men, all the siblings, like everyone in that other family, Angelica's family, was in a fight. My ex-boyfriend Derek's dad had to go to the hospital because he got hit in the head with like something metal. It was just this weird situation, so everything was super crazy. And then fast forward, my grandma started having these Sunday dinners, these Sunday family dinners. So my family would come out and eat if they could make it, but even if they couldn't, we still had the Sunday dinner. So I started inviting him over. So I started inviting Derek over to have dinner, and after dinner we'd go up to my bedroom, and we had to have my bedroom door open because just like, you know, people started seeing all those signs, so they had me open the door. They wouldn't really tell me why at the time, but I kind of know now. And he would just do weird things like hold my arm really hard or grab me, and or if I pissed him off, he would do something to like hurt me, and I'd like pull away, and then I'd end up with like a bruise or really hurt, and he'd say it was all my fault because I was the one that was pulling away, that it just was all my fault, because if I didn't pull away, I would have never gotten hurt, even though him squeezing me or doing something hurts me. So then one of the most drastic times was when I was on my phone at his house, and I'd be watching TV and stuff and on my phone. So I used to always be on my phone because I was always so uncomfortable at his house. So I'd be on my phone, and he said I was having so much attitude and I was just paying attention to my phone. So he took it, and then eventually I was getting really mad because he wouldn't give it back. So he threw it at my face, which is an iPhone 5, because this was when I was a freshman, because we ended up breaking up like in the end of freshman year. So he threw my iPhone 5 at my nose, and it hit this part of my nose and it left an indent. So the indent isn't as bad as it used to be, but it was really bad at the time. My nose, it was numb when it did happen. It was hurting really bad, but it didn't seem like it was broken. So that was another thing that happened. And then I don't know exactly when every situation happened, because it's all just basically a blur looking back at it. It's just, I know certain situations that were really terrible, and I'm just going to tell you guys those. So then another day, I was on my phone again at his house, and he basically got pissed off because I was having attitude, and he pushed me off the couch and like basically kicked me while I was on the ground. And at this time, his brother was, because there was a small couch right here, and then there was a long couch right here, and we were on the small couch, so his brother was right here, and he saw this whole situation happening even though he was on his phone. So then I started crying, and I ran up to his mom's room, and I was telling her about it, and she basically like rubbed it off, like brushed it off like it was nothing. And so I left the house, and walking home, it's kind of like a 30-minute walk, but like a 3 to 5 minute drive in the car from my house to his house. So I just started walking home, and on the way walking home, basically his mom and him showed up in the car and told me to get in, and basically that me and him needed to talk about it because I was done with him. I told him that I was done and I didn't want to be with him anymore at that time. And then his mom told me to get in the car and basically talk to him about it. And at this time I didn't tell any of my family what was happening because I just thought that I loved him, and if I told my family this stuff, then they obviously wouldn't let me talk to him or see him ever again, which obviously is the right thing to do. Like, if this was happening, then, you know, like, I shouldn't have even been talking to him. So once I got inside the car, she started driving towards the way out, because they lived in a gated community, so she started driving towards one of the gates that opened to leave. And then as she got to that point, she looked like she was going to turn, and she started turning the wheel a little bit, but then she continued straight towards their house. And I was like, what the hell? Like, they told me they'd take me home, because when I was in the car, I told them I wanted to go home, and she fucking took me back to their house. And I was just crying there, and I didn't want to leave because he would do crazy things to me, and I can't remember everything he would do to me. I just remember, like, the huge things that he would say or do to me. Like, he said basically if I ever told anyone or got the cops involved, that him or his family would kill me. And he told me that about 2 times. So I was freaked out at this point. I didn't want to say or do anything bad to him. And The last day that I actually was dating him, I was a cheerleader in high school, and I didn't have a car. I didn't have a way of getting to the games when they're away games, so I would use his mom, because she never worked. I would use his mom and him for rides to go to those games. So I did that, and I decided on that game day, because it was on a Friday, I think. On that game day, I decided that I was going to break up with him, because in the morning on that day, I had a best friend, which I'm just going to say her name, Alexis, because it doesn't really matter. I'm not sure if she watches my videos. But I had a friend named Alexis, and she was like my best friend at the time. I would always leave to go hang out with her in the morning, because I rode the bus to school, so I'd get there an hour before school started. So I'd go hang out with her, and he would always call us lesbians because I wanted to hang out with my friend. And I was a lesbian because I had a best friend. Okay. And on that morning, we were actually walking with his friend. I'm just gonna say his name too, because honestly no one really sees my video. Okay, so we were walking with Cameron and my ex-boyfriend Derek. And he got super mad because I was so fed up with this shit, and I was just done. I was just really scared. I didn't know how to tell him I didn't want to be with him again because of everything he would tell me and scare me. So I didn't want to break up with him, or I thought he would kill me. He knew where I lived. He has guns. He has crazy type of guns, so I didn't want to piss him off and get killed, basically. So that morning of school, I decided I was really done with him, and I told him I wanted to go hang out with my friend, Alexis. And then he did this weird thing where he like tripped me, right? But I was standing, so I tripped backwards. If you guys can like kind of see that in your head. So I was standing like this, and he put his foot behind mine, one of them, and then he pushed me so that I basically fell over. So that's what happened, and like he pushed me really, really hard, so it hurt, and I got up and started crying. And at this point, I was texting my friend, so my friend Alexis was walking around the corner, and she saw this whole thing happening, and then his friend was right next to us, and he saw it too. So I never spoke out about this after everything, after I dumped him and everything. So I went to the game, kind of went through everything, went through the whole day, not really talking to him, just took a ride to the game. And he wanted to hang out because after every single cheerleading game or be a cheerleader at, I'd go to his house and stay there until like 11 o'clock at night. And at that night, I knew like it was just, I was done. So I decided to go to my best friend's house and have a sleepover, and he was pissed that I was not hanging out with him. His mom was pissed as well because she obviously knew I was using them for a ride. So once I got home after the game, they actually gave me a ride home, and that's why they were super, super, super pissed, because they kind of knew something was up. I was acting weird. And so I got home, I told my grandma right away. I was like, I'm done with him. I like someone new, which was crazy because I move on really fast. But I was saying I like someone new, which was his best friend. I was just done with him, so I went to my friend's house. My grandma gave me a ride to my friend's house, and I dumped him right when I got to my friend's house because I had the support of her to be able to do it. I couldn't do it alone, and I was really scared because I didn't want him to show up to my house, which is why I went to my friend's house to do this, because I was really scared and I wanted to spend the night with her because she was the one that knew about all of this at the time. No one knew. My sister didn't know. No one knew. Really, they just had suspicions of it happening because one of the times that he held my hand really hard and hurt me and stuff, my sister actually walked out of her room and saw. Basically, then I started getting phone calls from his whole family telling, like, just yelling at me, saying all this crazy crap, scaring me basically. So I called my dad, and mind you, while I was at the game in the middle of like the halftime, I got a call from my dad telling me that he decided to go to LA, and he basically was taking my older sister with him, and he asked me if I wanted to go. But I had already made plans with my friend, literally like probably like 20 minutes before that, probably not even that. And I was like, no, I really can't go. I just made plans with her because I didn't want him to know either what was going on, because my dad is crazy and I didn't want to get anyone in my family involved in it because my family can be really freaking crazy. If you guys know me in real life, my family is really crazy. If you try to piss them off or do anything bad to hurt my family, so I didn't want to get my family involved and tell anyone about it because I didn't want the whole situation getting worse or anything, since I saw that his family had fought in another family, you know. So then once I started getting all the crazy phone calls from everyone, I called my dad up while he's driving to LA, and I was telling him about everything and how they won't leave me alone. So he immediately was like, give me their phone number now. He started calling them, threatening them if they didn't leave me alone, like he was obviously going to kill them and stuff, and he was like, I'm going to kill your son, to the dad, because of how I told him, like, after that I was on the phone with him and I told him, like, Dad, like, oh, like, he hit me, and my dad already kind of knew, too, because he kept questioning me throughout the whole relationship. He just kept questioning me. So eventually when I told him, he was super pissed. So on the phone he was like, I'm gonna kill your son for doing that to my daughter and stuff. You know, eventually my dad kind of going off on them made them stop. And then weeks go on, I started dating the kid. Let's call the kid Eric. I started dating Eric. Then my ex Derek got really pissed off, obviously, because it was his friend. And his friend didn't care either, because his friend knew about this eventually, and he was like, fuck that, I'm not his friend anymore, da 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 da, and we started liking each other, obviously, because we were friends too, kind of, and we would text each other all, like, before this, so we kind of started having feelings for each other. And, you know, I had feelings for him. I already knew that. I just was scared to get out of that relationship and try to start dating him. We started dating, basically, things got crazy. This one day, I remember I really remember was at school, my ex came up behind him and, like, pulled him by the shirt, like, by the collar, kind of by the shirt, and, like, pulled him and was, like, trying to say, like, let's fight, da 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 da, you know, acting really crazy. And just to see that, like, oh, he's my new boyfriend, you're really doing this, like, after everything you put me through. So then I called my dad because I was freaking out, like, crying, and my dad was like, I'm about to come there, da 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 da, like, and kill him and everything. And, you know, my dad's crazy, and I kind of pissed my dad off by telling him and lying to him, telling him that he never hit me before or did anything to me. So he was even more pissed. So he's basically on the way, and I was telling him, no, don't come, don't make this whole situation even worse than it already is. Like, it just keeps getting worse, and I don't want it even more worse with my dad and my family getting into it. So once I told my dad basically that he hit me, obviously my dad called my grandma, and I live with my grandma, and my grandma was really pissed because she, at the time, she told me just literally like a month ago, right as I was moving into my boyfriend's house now, she told me that she thought that whole time I was lying, and at the time I knew she thought I was lying. So actually at school, when all this happened, where he dropped me and everything, I'm kind of like all over the place, but it's really hard talking about this because everything's just jumbled up in my head right now. And so after a couple of days of school, after he like basically pushed me on the ground in front of everybody, his friend Cameron snitched him out to the school, and I had to be in this meeting with all these police officers, and he got suspended. He was on the football team and he got suspended, so he was gone from school. And then once my grandma finally found out about everything, she had me call the cops immediately. We started this whole case up with that, and eventually a couple weeks later the cops eventually called me saying, like, we can go to court for this, we basically can try to, you know, make him go to juvie for everything he did or anything, and get him in trouble for what he did to me throughout our whole relationship. So eventually I got the phone call, and at this time I had been going to court for the whole molestation thing. I had been going through this since the kind of like middle to end of 7th grade, and keep in mind I just graduated high school and I'm still going through that whole court situation. So at this time I was going to court for that situation, and so once I got the phone call from the cops telling me did I want to do it or not, I was looking at my grandma like, what do? I don't know what to do because I'm going through this situation right now. And I already knew my grandma thought I was lying. She had taken my phone away and grounded me for, I can't remember, it was more than 6 months. She grounded me. I couldn't hang out with anyone or do anything because she didn't believe me. She thought I was just being so dramatic. Along with foster children, they go through a lot of crap, so usually stuff follows them and they get into a lot of trouble, which is what I've seen. I'm not saying that it happens to all foster children, but with me and my sister, we got into a lot of trouble. She had like an FBI investigation a couple like weeks before that, and we just kept having so much crap coming around to us. My grandma always thought that we were lying about stuff because we were also going to court because of the molestation. So she just thought we were probably lying, and that's why I decided not to go to court over my ex-boyfriend, because I didn't want the judge or anyone basically thinking I was lying and me getting in trouble in the end because of, oh, I'm going through this situation and now this, and then my sister, what she was going through and everything. And it's like, I didn't want to be looked at as I'm a liar and then not win in court basically. I just decided not to do anything about it really and just let it go. but obviously that was the wrong choice for me, that I think, because eventually I met my boyfriend that I've been with, and I met him in the summer of my sophomore year, and literally probably like 5 months ago, my ex-boyfriend was still trying to follow me on social medias, even though I keep blocking him. He kept creating new accounts, like being a psycho, trying to do all this crap. And when me and my boyfriend first started dating, he would like comment on my crap, get his friends to follow me and comment saying that they wanted to fight my boyfriend, they were gonna jump him, do all this stuff, you know, with all his friends, like little fake gang members, which is why like that really pissed me off, that he was like going after my boyfriend. You know, it's just like a really psycho and crazy situation to go through. And I literally just graduated high school. Keep in mind, I was dating him from 8th grade to freshman year, and he was still doing things throughout my senior year, calling me names at school and trying to follow me on social media and like say things to me and stuff. So I saw little signs, but I thought I was in love, which is why I never broke things off right away, even though my family knew things were off and kept telling me they didn't like him and they wanted me not to date him. So if you guys seem to see like little red signs, like someone is just constantly texting you and they won't leave you alone, and like you're busy doing something and they freak out and start like texting you saying, why did you text me, da 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 da, like those are just kind of, you know, signs. Or just like their family being crazy and saying crazy crap, or them saying that they'd kill you if you did anything, or if they just put their hands on you at all and leave marks like bruises, or even if they don't leave marks, please get out of that. I don't want you guys going through that. I don't want anyone going through that. I just would never, I've never wished this upon anyone to go through. Especially like me, if you've gone through so much crap throughout your life, being taken away from your family and your parents being divorced, and all just the stuff that I've gone through, I just would never wish anything upon anyone, even like people that I've had issues with, you know, because I'm always trying to be positive. I want my channel to be positive. Even though I'm making this video, I just want to show you guys or tell you guys about situations that, you know, and try to help you guys out with those. And I'm always here if you guys need anyone. I've gone through depression and stuff because my whole life. So if you guys need to talk to anyone, always message me. I have my social medias linked all the time in my description box on my videos. If you guys need to talk to me, if you need anyone there for you, I will be there for you guys. And friendships, just people mistreating you and abusing your friendship, you know, and just being rude to you constantly and ditching you and stuff. Just know your worth, basically. Don't ever put up with anything. Don't put up with anyone's shit, and just try to get out of those situations. I don't want anyone going through anything like that. It's terrible to see. So yeah, that's basically this video, just talking about that. So yeah, if you guys basically like this video, then like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more upcoming videos. I do have a giveaway going on. Go ahead and subscribe or comment saying that you already are subscribed to enter into that, and I'll gladly have you entered into that. And if you follow me on any extra social medias, then that's an extra entry, obviously. So just comment what you're following me on, like basically your name on the social medias, and you'll be entered in to win everything. I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night wherever you guys are. Bye. Love you guys.